So let's start on the mat. We're going to start lying down, and we're going to do what Tias calls satya. It's a little bit of lubricating the tissues before we start to hold them. All right. So come on to your mat, lying on your back. Make sure all your props and things are near you. And the first thing I want you to do is just to lie all the way down, like you're going to do Shavasana. Lie all the way down like you're going to do Shavasana, and just see how your body feels on the floor. You know, like our last couple days, I must have slept funny, and I had this weird little kink right behind my left shoulder blade that hasn't worked itself out yet. So I'm noticing that, especially if I take a deep breath. So just notice anything that's going on in this house we call a body. And just make a mental note of how you feel on the mat, because we're going to come back to this, this place. So leaving your right, let's start with your right leg bent, left leg down. And I'd like your arms to be in a goalpost kind of position, or cactus, if you will. And we'll start with just the leg movement, and then we'll add the arm movement. So with your right foot on the floor, I want you to let the right knee fall inward, and then push into your right foot and start to lift your hip lightly. And you're going to find an end point where you're not going to be able to go any farther. And then slowly and carefully come back to that center. So that's the leg movement. It's real slow and deliberate. Okay, pushing. And then coming back when you find that end range. Now to add the arm movement, the leg that's moving is the arm that's going to stretch up. So you just keep it on the floor, and you're just going to slide it along the floor. And you'll notice you might have more range now. And then come back in. Let your elbow come back towards the side. Let your hip come back to the floor. The breath can be your own, but I like the inhale when I'm reaching and the exhale when I'm releasing. But the idea here is that you go supersonic slow. Like when you think you're going slow enough, go even slower. We're targeting these deep, deep tissues along the spine and the psoas, and of course some of the shoulder and upper body. But deep, deep muscles, not the big ones that we use day to day to create all the big movement, which is why you want to go slow, because these big muscles like to take over. They like to do all the work. One more time, big reach, press, and then come back to center. And then just switch your legs, and we'll do the other side. Try to bring your foot close to your body. Arms going to be still for a moment. Press into now the left foot and let the left knee start to cross your midline, and the left hip comes off the floor. And notice what you notice, how it's different. And then when you get to your end range, you slowly come back. This kind of movement, like yin, isn't about the shape that you're in or how big it is. It's really about what you're feeling inside. It's almost like you're trying to take a massage from the inside, not from the outside. The next time you do your leg, I want you to slide now your other arm up. You can't really do this kind of thing wrong, just like you can't do yin wrong, but you can go too fast and you'll miss the juice. So think about that, slow. And I know it's morning. Maybe I've had some coffee or some caffeine, which will lend you to go faster. You have to work a little harder at slowing down. Reach the arm, crisscross knee, press with your foot. This is called Satya, Matthias's version of yin. He likes slow, almost like somatic type movements that gets into the nervous system a little bit more. Again, it's not better than yin. Yin's not better than Satya. It's just different. Reach. And let's do one more. Head's heavy, right leg's heavy, right arm's heavy. Just thinking about this left side, reaching and stretching and reaching and stretching. And then when you come back to the center and you've completed that side, bring your arms down next to you, bring your legs down, and just like we did in the beginning, see what you feel. Can you feel the echo of the practice of that movement pattern? This atmospheric change that might have started to shift. All righty. So from here, let's bend the knees. I want you to cross your right ankle over your left knee. Your arms can be in a T shape if you like, just away from your body. And we're going to rock side to side, and then we're going to hold in the center. So starting going to the right side, just allow your body to move over in that direction. And then come up to center and allow your body to move in the other direction. So it's your lower half. We'll do that twice more. So nice and slow, just like we did the first one. We're moving and we're lubricating the deep intrinsic tissues close to the joints. And up and over. And I like to think of this kind of movement pattern as like if you were going to be dusting your house or dusting out all the cobwebs on the floor. We're really trying to get into the corners and into the crevices. You know, it's not just a surface like, let's hurry up and clean the house because somebody's coming over. It's a deep clean. And then come back in the center. And from here, we're going to lift the left foot and bring the legs toward us. Now, this is your first yin posture. So your hands can be on your top right leg shin. You can stretch down and grab your left thigh. Or if you have a lot of freedom, you could grab your left shin. Taking a deep breath here and then settle in. And remember, yin is that sweet spot. That sweet spot's not too easy, not too hard, just right, where you can feel and sense something happening. Where you know that there's juice happening. You're lubricating the tissue in a different way now by holding tension against whatever we're working with. In this case, it's your right hip socket. You might notice it in your lower back. And tension against tissues is what actually makes something happen. And just like any practice that we do, yin is specific to this. We look for the subtle sensations. You're going to notice the big ones right away. But as you hold and wait, those big sensations usually start to subside, and those subtle ones that you didn't even notice were there start to become more conscious. So when I was doing that Satya movement with you in the beginning, I had the spot underneath my right diaphragm. It's bothered me for quite a while, even back when I lived in Maryland, and I had it evaluated, and the doctor couldn't find anything. And I talked to some of my yoga friends and they were like, you might have a constricted diaphragm, from all your years of fitness and intense abdominal work, and maybe you fell or banged yourself, who knows? So when I was doing that satya, on the opposite side, I felt a little tug there. And I was like, oh, isn't that interesting? That's probably like fascia that has had some adhesions built up around that spot. So guess what I'm going to be doing? That one. So we learn these things, and then we can use the practice to help heal, because yoga is medicine. Movement is medicine. Take a nice deep breath. And then go ahead and release your leg. Put your legs back down into neutral. And can you take yourself back to Shavasana? Take yourself back to Shavasana. Just sense and feel how your body feels after that one side. You might notice there's an asymmetry there now. Your body's telling you to do the other side. Hurry up, so I can feel balanced. Go ahead and bend your knees again. And this time cross your left ankle over the right, keeping your right foot on the floor, arms away from you. And then starting to move now, rocking to the left first. Go slow, remember. And then gently rocking to the right. The shoulders and your upper back and your head are your anchor. Your arms are your anchor. Let the rest of your body move as it wants to. And you want to remember to go super slow here. Letting your body and your mind and your consciousness become unified. What's happening? We're doing 3 on each side. And you might be going slower or faster than me. When we get to that third side, after we repeat the left and right, we'll bring the legs toward us and give us our first yin practice on the left hip. And if you're anything like me, you tend to be a little bit in a rush, like you want to just hurry up and get to the thing. See if you can enjoy the journey. And then once you're ready, legs come up off the floor, raise your right foot, take a hold of whatever feels like a good spot for you. And that all depends on hip flexibility and body size, basically. And then you pause here, breathe, wait, listen. And try the best you can to not move around. So remember the 3 parts of yin. The first part is to find the edge of tension. The second part is to become still. And the third part is time. Tension against tissue over time is the juice. I was listening to somebody talk about fascia yesterday, and basically his philosophy is, I don't care what kind of movement you do, but if you're not moving and you're not trying to address your body in a movement pattern of some kind, your fascia is going to get adhered. You're going to have these hard places in the body that maybe hurt or don't function properly. A lot of times it's near joints or bones. So think about your knees, how sensitive they are. They never used to be that way. And you maybe don't even have any kind of injury, but they hurt. And we all say, oh, it's arthritis. Well, maybe not. Maybe it's just this adhesions around these joints that kind of gunk everything up, make everything stiff. Like that spot underneath my rib cage. I mean, I even went to a cancer doctor. I mean, my doctor sent me to a cancer doctor. Said, you might have a tumor in there. Scared the bejeebers out of me. cancer doctor did all the tests and she said, yeah, I don't see anything. We could go in and look. I'm like, yeah, no, never mind, leave it alone. It's adhesions. I know that now from the morning that I did this practice with you. I know that now. So I will just work with that. So we find these things out. We listen to the body. We try to use all the tools that we know. Maybe we learn new things as we go along. Like my auntie, that's 90, she's gonna be 96 on March 30th. And we're all wondering, and at first, when she got diagnosed, we were figuring out she's not gonna make it to her birthday, but we're all kind of going, well, maybe, maybe she's gonna. But she has resiliency. She has a strong constitution and mind that has kept her vibrant all the way up until the end. She has not been sick at all. So it showed me something about how she lives her life. Take a nice deep breath. And then slowly, slowly, just starting to unwind yourself. And again, let's go ahead and stretch down into Shavasana-like. Just to see, sense and feel. What does your body feel like right now? Does it feel juicier? Does it feel softer? Do you feel more flow? Can you connect to the blood flow and the lymph flow and the energy flow? Feels more like space. So you're clearing out the clutter. Just like you would clean your house that you live in, you're cleaning the internal house that you live in. All right, so go ahead and bend your knees. Let's roll to a side and we're going to come up to sitting. So once you're sitting, ask yourself, how do your knees feel? I've been hearing a lot about knees lately. Lots and lots of things about knees. So remember that little trick I taught you maybe a couple of years ago, maybe. I massage my knees. I kind of do this circle thing, but you can take your knuckles and go across the top of your kneecap, right at the base where it joins the knee. You can kind of do that, I don't know, 10 times, and then you go below it. You do the same thing. You're creating heat and friction. You do it on the lateral side. And then you do it on the inner side. And you do it enough where, it kind of feels good and the knuckles give it some pressure. And that helps to move stuck lymph. Take your left leg and bring it all the way up as close as you can to your inner thigh. Let the knee fall outward. Now, this is one of those flexion positions in the knee, right? So a lot of people don't like this one. It feels hard for them. So you can put something under your knee. You can move your foot down. But remember, tension against tissues will really help when you have these kinds of things going on. Now we're going to flex forward over this front knee. If you like, you can use props. I like to use my blocks here because I'm not as flexible in this way. So you're going to sit nice and tall and you start to fold forward. Now, if you're like me and you don't have a lot of freedom in your hamstrings, you can rest on something. You might be able to clasp your foot. The goal, remember, is not to worry about how deep the pose is, but what are you sensing and feeling inside? If you like, your elbows can rest on something and you can support your head. It's a little deep for me this morning. And so you're allowing yourself to just let gravity and your body help open up some of these tissues. Right now, we're working on your left hip again, left knee, left side back, and then your right back leg. You might feel this all the way up your spine, depending on how tight you are, how many adhesions you have. And so movement is medicine for the body. Stillness is medicine for the mind. And yoga, just about any kind of yoga, it doesn't really matter which one it is medicine for all dimensions of the body, all dimensions of your being. What do I mean by that? Your physical body, your mental body, your emotional body, your energetic body, even your spiritual body. And other exercise forms are really great. They're purposeful and specific, and we may or may not need them. But yoga can tap into this deeper reservoir, this deeper resource of resilience. And I think again about my aunt. Now, she didn't practice yoga. She didn't do any of that. But she had a very strong faith, has a very strong faith. She has a very strong constitution in knowing that she was her own woman growing up and living in the world. And she took care of herself and her family. She knew that was really important. She said to me, we were whispering the last day I was there, telling each other how much we loved each other and what she meant to me growing up. And she said, if I ever yelled at you when you were little, I'm really sorry. But I had a lot of kids and you were another one in the house, because I lived a lot of my time with them. And I just thought that was so sweet that she was sort of resolving her consciousness of any wrongdoing as she was leaving her physical body. Take a nice deep breath. And then as you exhale, starting to move upward. Go slow, remember. These kinds of gravity-weighted postures can feel intense. Take your bent knee up and stretch that leg straight down. Give it a moment. And then we'll try the other side. So bring the leg up wherever you can. The higher the better, but don't go anywhere where your body doesn't want it to go. And just remember that we're trying on purpose. We don't have weight or gravity against this knee flexion, but we are flexing this knee all the way. And that's a reason for that. And then sit up tall. On this side, go ahead and start to float forward. Now, one of the things I'm noticing using my blocks here is I've got my one block against my leg, so my leg can't fall outward. There isn't anything wrong with your leg falling outward, but mine, I'm getting a different sensation in my leg because it isn't. So I'm just finding that curious. And let your sitting bones feel heavy. Breathe into the belly. Remember, wherever the breath goes, the prana flows. And we want the prana, this life force, to move into all the crevices. Move into all the little corners and deep inside the reservoirs of the body. And sometimes it's hard to kind of believe this teaching, but when you do something that's still, that's intentional, meaning we're putting tension against tissue, there's a release of energy that happens in the body. You actually feel more energized because you're giving your body and your mind this nourishment and this connection. And it's different than, exercising. That's a different thing altogether. This is deeper. And some people have told me that they've actually had more energy after they've done a yin practice, and they weren't really sure why that was. You would think it would be more calming, and it is. It's a both and. I love those both ands. Take a nice deep breath. And then slowly again, coming up. Once you're up, hold this leg and bring it out in front of you. And take a moment here to maybe flex your feet, point your feet, rotate your ankles. You could even rub your knees again if you felt like you wanted to do that. Our next posture is butterfly. I want you to bring your feet together. And I want to remind you that your feet are not close to you. They're not close to you. They're further away. If you have more hip mobility, you could take one of your blocks and put it between your feet to make this whole thing wider. And that's for the people that have a lot more freedom in their pelvis. You're not, remember, going for that deep stretch. So try to get your mind away from that. And then we're just going to start to come forward. So as you inhale, lift, and as you exhale, fold forward. Now I've got my blocks sitting here. I could use my blocks for my head. If you've got a bolster close by, you could use the bolster. It's my favorite way to do it. And lately I've been taking my arms over the bolster so that I can actually get my whole back body involved. Remember, there's no wrong or right way to do any kind of yin or satya. It's really an internal sensation. What's happening? Do you need a little more? Do you need a little less? Putting tension against tissues on purpose so that we can loosen up and lubricate these fascial adhesions, the lymph nodes around the joints, the energetic channels and intersections called nadis. And most of these important areas actually are located around your joints. So think ankles, knees, hip sockets, spinal joints, shoulders, all these problem areas that we have, especially as we get older. Is it because we've had an injury? Is it because we have arthritis? I think it's the fascia. I think it's the adhesions. I think it's the rigidity that we feel in our body that we can't get lubricated. And here's another thing that this doctor was talking about yesterday. He said that everybody is into hydration and hydrating the tissues by drinking more water. And he doesn't believe that. He said drinking more water on its own is not going to hydrate your tissues. What hydrates your tissues is movement. Movement of any kind, walking, yoga, dance, swimming, whatever. He said you have to move your body, you have to get this system going in order for the water that you drink to get kind of pulled up into the cells and hydrating the tissues. That made a lot of sense to me. So I'm not telling you not to drink water, but I am saying, well, if you're drinking water and sitting in a chair all day, you might not be doing the best at getting hydrated. Let your body become heavy. Remember, you can support your head if you like with your hands. Take a nice deep breath. And then slowly making your way up. Move your props out of the way. Bringing your legs to center and gently stretch your legs down. Alrighty, from here, I'm going to just turn sideways so you can see. We're going to take our feet closer. So this is what we would say Baddha Konasana or butterfly in traditional yoga. And I want you to keep your feet together. And it's going to depend, it's going to depend on your knees and your hips. I want your hands behind you. And you're going to lean back on your hands. Now the focus here is more on the upper body, less on the lower body, but you're going to get the juice both ways. If you feel like you want more in your lower body, pick your bottom up and bring it to your feet. Soften your elbows. The wider your hands are, the easier this is. So if it feels hard, walk your hands wider apart. My hands are about level to my mat width. And I want you to think about your chest rising. And then your chin and your head can be in neutral. You could even look down, close your eyes. So this is an intense posture that goes to the front of the body, primarily around the upper chest, shoulders, hands, wrist. And so I want you to remember this piece around the joints, the adhesions, the blocked energy channels around the joints of your hand. Think of the knuckles of your hand. How many people have thumb pain? Oh, I have arthritis. Yeah, you might, but you also might have this really kind of gunked up area. What about your wrists? People say, well, my wrist hurt because I, fell and broke it. Well, maybe. And maybe you have adhesions, or maybe you have, your natties are kind of clogged up. So I don't really like this blanket answer of, oh, I have arthritis. It seems to be an easy, I don't even know what to say. It's not a cop-out answer, but it's like almost like it's a throwaway answer. Like, oh, I have arthritis. Nothing I can do about it. Just hurts. Well, maybe there is something you can do about it. You just have to go about it a little bit differently. Think about it a little differently. And this area that we're on right now with the hands and the wrists, the elbows and the shoulders, it can feel pretty uncomfortable. So just be with that edge. Try not to push it away too quickly. Breathe. Take a nice deep breath. And then slowly, as you feel ready, start to come off your arms, move your feet away from you, and stretch everything out again. I know that one was a little intense. The next shape we're going to be on is our side, a little different. And I don't think you're going to need anything as a prop. It doesn't matter what side you start on, we're going to do both sides. And I want you to use your bottom arm as a little pillow. And if you have a pillow, you want to put it under your head, you can. So I'm just going to cradle my head and my arm. I want both knees bent so that they're like you're sitting in a chair. Knees on top of knees, hips stacked. All right. from here, you're gonna pick up your top leg, grab your foot. You're gonna take this knee and point it to the wall on the other side of the room while you bring your foot towards your buttocks. And what I want you to do here is not pull with your arm. I want you to just hold your hand against your foot and draw the knee backward until you find that first edge. Now, the hard part about this could be balance. You're going to want to fall over backwards. And so just see if you can find a place where you can settle in. We're working specifically again to the knee and the quadricep that moves up into the belly. You might notice that as you wait. It's been my experience that most, especially women, but most people are tight in their quadriceps. They don't have the freedom and the range of motion. And they're not strong in their quadriceps either. So that combination, weakness and tightness, can lead to knee issues, truly. And so we're cleaning out the clutter all around the knee joint, all around the hip joint, all around the shoulder joint. I keep talking about this because I have to clean out the clutter in my house. And I just continue to find excuses about why I'm not doing it. You're breathing. You're allowing your body to feel heavy on its side. Matthias talks about in his program, when you put pressure against parts of your body when you're lying on the floor, like right now we're lying on our side, we're putting pressure against the outer hip joint, your ribs, maybe your armpit, your shoulder. These are areas that don't get a lot of tension and pressure against them, and they can feel stagnated. So he does a lot of lateral pressure work. Take a deep breath. And then slowly let go of your leg. And what I'd like you to do from here is go down onto your belly. And just rest on your mat for a minute with your head on your hands. And I want you to notice the difference between the two legs. See if you notice a difference. And then as you feel ready, we're going to switch over to the other side. Same thing. Cradling your head with your arm or a pillow. Bending both knees so that they're directly in front of your hips. And that gives your spine a nice neutral position to start in. Then grab your top foot or ankle and start to bring the knee straight back towards the wall that you're opposite where your head is. And then when I used to teach this in person, I would see people take their knee up to the sky. That's a way to get away from the stretch. So try to keep your knee lined up with your hip. Your arm is not really doing anything, it's just holding your foot. And then try to keep the weight of your body more forward as you bring that knee back so you don't fall over backwards. Excuse me. Find the edge of the stretch, the edge of sensation, and then stay there and breathe. Notice what you notice. Take a nice deep breath. And then slowly starting to release. And then come back onto your belly again. And rest all the way down on your forehead. Giving yourself a moment, kind of like when we were laying on our back, just to notice anything going on in your body. And then from here, come up into Sphinx pose. Letting your elbows be under your shoulders, palms down, shoulders down. Just let your body feel heavy, like it's a hammock. Your feet can be wider apart. We just did that quadricep release, so you might notice that this feels pretty comfortable. Most of us are bound up in that inner groin and quadricep, so back bends tend to be harder. If this feels too hard, remember you can walk your hands forward, take your elbows wider so that you're more on the floor. And if that feels too easy, take your hands to the corners or the sides of your mat and push up into seal pose. Either one. Eyes are quiet, jaws soft. Let go of any gripping anywhere in the body. Remember, you can choose along the way to change your shape. So if you're in a position and you don't feel anything, well, obviously you need to make it a little harder, a little bigger. And then, of course, if it starts to get too noisy and you're moving towards that edge of pain, you need to make it easier. Let the breath just flow into the body, into the belly. Take a nice deep breath. And then go ahead and lower yourself back down, forehead on your hands. Allowing the body to readjust. And then as you feel ready, I want you to lay on your back again. We're moving towards Shavasana, but before you prop yourself up and do anything that you normally would do for Shavasana, just take a moment and see how you feel in your body, in your house now, after you did an hour of cleaning out the clutter. When you're lying on your back, what does it feel like? Can you remember from the beginning to now? Remember I told you to create a little mental memory of how your body felt when you first laid down. So it feels softer, heavier, spacious, you notice your breath is deeper. All of those kinds of things means you did a really nice job on releasing the tissues. Maybe breaking up a little of the adhesions. And so as you feel ready, please go ahead and find your quiet space. Keeping yourself covered. Maybe there's something across your eyes so the light can stay out. And taking that nice deep breath as you let go of any doing and just be.
Take a deeper breath. And allow your body to slowly come back, bringing your awareness to the inside first. And just as we moved in the very beginning with intention and slow, deliberate action, start to gently stretch, waking your physical body up. And when you feel ready, you can bend your knees, roll to a side, make your way up to sitting. And once you're seated, just pause for a moment. Notice the stillness. Notice the space. Maybe even remembering how your body felt initially when you were sitting and how it feels quiet now. Your hands together. Gratitude as always for our time together on the mat, our deep body wisdom, and our guiding light. May our light always shine brightly, and may we always see the light in each other. Namaste.